What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Morning Cup of Hockey presented by Bet365. I almost forgot what that music sounded like. It's been a while since we haven't had our little playoff introduction, but that's Colby Cohen. I'm Johnny Lazarus. We got Tyler Remchuk joining in about 5 minutes just to put a bow on the Stanley Cup final and hear from Tyler about his emotions after saying the Oilers were going to win the Stanley Cup final in 5. Oh, my God, Colby, he's stop. That is not my phone number. Colby's putting my phone number in the chat. It's a fake number, so don't actually text it. It's not going to go to me. But it is Vic's birthday, so happy birthday to Vic. We love our producer. And, yeah, I mean, a lot to get into today. But, Colby, how you feeling this morning?
Is it really Vic's birthday?
No, but okay. It's fun to say that.
Sloan almost just made an appearance on the show. She got out right in time, but I wanted to start today by, I wouldn't say doubling down, but, you know, Vic clipped me yesterday on some goaltending conversation, and, you know, I'm certainly not going to back down off of it. And the comments are funny because everyone's like, oh, well, the Oilers got to Game 6 and Game 7 2 years in a row, and the Rangers didn't make the playoffs this year. And, you know, I think what the point that everybody misses when you're talking about goaltending is that, you know, first off, getting to Game 6 or Game 7 means absolutely nothing for the following season. Means absolutely nothing.
I'd say it's more of a disadvantage for the following season.
It does absolutely nothing for you. Second place is the same thing as 25th place.
I don't buy that.
I mean, I do. I mean, why does finishing second place, like, you get the same thing? Nothing. Well,
more revenue.
The Rangers
get
like
more revenue.
Regular season banners, so I shouldn't say that. Not for everybody, but my point is that until you have a goaltender that is going to make clutch saves for you in the biggest moment of hockey games, you're not going to win a Stanley Cup. I'm not saying you need Igor Shesterkin to win a cup because he hasn't won a cup, right? No. And there have been years where goaltenders who are not in the elite category of players won the Stanley Cup, but they were hot at the time and they made all the clutch saves, right? How many times in that series would you have liked one or two more saves? And until you get that, you are not winning a Stanley Cup if you're the Edmonton Oilers, okay? Until you have a goaltender that in those moments can bail you out, you're not going to win. And that is, to me, exactly why I look at that and I say, you know what? Until they get their goaltending situation figured out, any team that does have a great goaltender has a better chance to win than them. Because I don't care if you're runner-up. I don't care if you get to Game 7. And where people just completely miss the plot here and they think they know everything, you know, fine, no problem, is that when a soft goal or a wrong time goal goes in, what it does to your team and what it does to your bench and what it does to your energy levels, it's impossible to recover. How many teams are able to overcome that game in and game out? And listen, Edmonton did almost overcome it at times in this playoff series, but it's 2 years in a row where they've come up short. And the biggest hole for them has been the guy who's the last line of defense doesn't make the save when they need it. Okay. Matt Murray was not a superstar elite level goaltender, but he got hot. Adin Hill, he got really hot at the right time.
Darcy Kemper.
Jordan Binnington. Okay. So listen, he's probably your exception, but he's not the norm. Okay. He's the exception to the rule. And I bet if you go back and watch Darcy Kemper during that playoff run, I bet he did come up with some clutch saves.
I think Francouz got to start in that. Didn't Francouz like start a couple games in those playoffs too? Because I didn't Darcy Kemper take like a stick to the eye.
Yeah, he had an injury. So my point is just that Like, you're not going to win until you get the guy who's going to bail you out when you need him. He does not have to be Igor Shesterkin. He does not have to be Sergei Bobrovsky, but it's the difference 2 years in a row now where he just comes up with the right saves in the right moments to keep games at 0-0, keep games at 1-0, keep them within reach, right? Where the other team just didn't get that, especially in game 7. I'm not saying they only lost because of Stuart Skinner. They didn't get any goals. McDavid didn't score. That's part of it. But let's just relive that game and say, what happens if it's 1-0 going into the third period? You feel a hell of a lot better about it if you're the Edmonton Oilers than 3. Okay. And that is my point. And until you have the life lived experience of being on a team where the goaltender lets in a bad goal, you're just wrong and don't know what you're talking about. So go ahead.
Okay, I actually do have a question, honestly, that I was arguing yesterday with my friend Lewis, who I talk to about hockey every single day. And he was on the other side of it. But I do want to bring Tyler in before I ask the question, because I think Tyler can actually be involved in this. So I hate to pile on, but before we bring Tyler on, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Outwest, because our Outwest worst team of the week this week has to be the Edmonton Oilers. So summer is here, folks, and we got big news. Outwest just dropped 8 brand new polos built for wherever your day takes you, from the office to 18 holes to post-game beers. We're talking clean designs, athletic fits, and breathable performance fabric that holds up in the heat and in the boardroom. Whether you're rocking classic black or stepping into fresh seasonal colorways, these polos are made to be your go-to again and again. Check out all 8 styles now at outwest.us, and make sure tomorrow's outfit is one worth repeating. So use code Cuppa, CUPPA, in all caps for 15% off of your first purchase. Out West, every game needs an outlaw. So let's bring Tyler in. And Tyler, you watch this team pretty closely as well. So I think this is like a fair question to ask you. I'm curious on Colby's opinion too. I'll tell you which side I'm on after you guys answer. But my friend Lewis and I were arguing yesterday over which team would win a 7-game series between this year's Florida Panthers team and the 2022 Colorado Avalanche. Like, we're talking about the best teams of the past 15 years. And Lewis said that the Colorado 2022 team is probably the most complete, well-rounded team that has won a cup in the last 15 years. And I was like, it could be argued. I mean, you think about those back-to-back Penguins teams, you think about, the Chicago Blackhawks teams that won the 3 in a row.
Well, 3 and 6.
Well, yeah, that's 3 and 6. My bad. But, where do you guys stand on that?
Were pretty good
we
too.
agreed, that series, if this Florida team played that Colorado team in a 7-game series, it'd be a pretty awesome series. But just curious in your thoughts, and I'll tell you guys my answer after.
Yeah, I think I take this year's Panthers team. I think roster wise, I mean, Brad Marchand on the third line is absolutely insane when he's at the level he's at, right? So you have that, and then you have the Bobrovsky over Kemper thing, Yeah, I think I take this year's Florida team. The third line, the blue lines to me are pretty similar. I'm trying to make sure I remember the rosters correctly. But yeah, the blue lines are similar. I take the third line in the depth of this Florida team, and I take the goaltending of this Florida team. So I think this Florida team we just watched might be one of the best Stanley Cup champions we've seen in the last 25 years.
And I think that that's a fair statement. And, the thing that I've been yelling and screaming about, and it's really, it's actually pretty interesting to me, Tyler, because I thought Edmonton fans would, let me sort of backtrack a little. Edmonton fans have been coming at everything that I've said since that loss because they feel like I'm just blaming Stuart Skinner. They're not really listening to what I'm saying, because I'm not just blaming Stuart Skinner. There are other factors, but the overall argument that I have, Tyler, is that, I don't even look at any of the first 2 goals. I don't say they're bad goals, at all. I don't say they're bad goals. The third one, yeah, that was disastrous, right? But you need the goalie to just erase that mistake, the Bouchard mistake and the Ekholm mistake on the first goal, right? At the other end, that guy erases that mistake, and then we don't remember that was just an absolute hand grenade into a turnover, into Ekholm getting walked into, and that's why I'm saying that the Edmonton Oilers, until they solve their goaltending situation, they're not that close, in my opinion. They need to solidify that position. 2 years in a row, Tyler.
I knew you'd answer that way.
Being second place doesn't get you anything.
Did
And
you see the
need
clip,
that
Tyler?
guy for that moment, and you don't have that guy for that moment.
Did you see the clip?
What clip?
He said the Rangers are closer to a cup than the Oilers are.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I mean, like they're not, because they didn't make the playoffs, and the Oilers have come to within 1 game and 2 games of winning the Stanley Cup
What
final.
do they have to show for it, though? Except
2 Western Conference champions banners.
But the guy who doesn't make the saves for them in the biggest moments, that's what they have to show for it. And that is my concern for this team if they do not address that position.
Okay, so like I'll agree with you in one hand, because like, are they going to get a new partner for Stuart Skinner? Yes, they're going to go get another goalie this offseason. They're not going to run it back with Pickard and Skinner. Stuart Skinner is 26 years old. He's not going to turn 27 until November. And you act like we've never seen him come through in a big moment for this team, when we can go back 3 weeks. And how are we talking about Stuart Skinner? It was the shutout in the elimination OT game against Vegas. It was back-to-back shutouts in that series. It was a shutout against Dallas. It was going on a run when you won 3 straight games against the Dallas Stars, where he only gave up 2 total goals in 3 games. Like, the idea that Stuart Skinner doesn't have that level, that's also false, because he does have that level. He led them to 3 straight wins in last year's Stanley Cup final. Like, he can get there. He just doesn't get there consistently enough. He has wrinkles in his game. He's 26 years old. Like, I'm still not willing, with 1 more year and $2.6 million on his deal. It's not like this is a guy you're paying $6 million. Like, I'm willing to give Stuart Skinner 1 more season. I'm not saying 3 more years or 4 more years. I'm willing to give a 26-year-old goalie 1 more year to see if he figures it out. He needs a better partner. So what do? Go find a good veteran. Go find another young guy with upside and say, hey, one of these 2 guys will be able to give us something. Like, you need to get him a better partner. The goaltending wasn't good enough in this cup final. I agree with you on all of that, but acting like Stuart Skinner needs to be crumpled up and thrown aside, or acting like the Edmonton Oilers are miles away from winning a Stanley Cup, that's just too far.
Yeah, but listen, okay, so very logically responded to, and I'm like, I can't argue anything that you're saying. Like, I can't. I'm not going to argue anything that you're saying. I just have a differing viewpoint on it, because, like I said, you're not yelling and screaming. You're not being emotional or anything like that. You're giving me your viewpoint on it. But where I just don't agree with you, Tyler, is that inconsistency in a guy's game who's been inconsistent his whole career. I'm just not sitting here thinking that he's going to grow out of this. And I guess that's where we really differ. And, again, I don't blame it on him, but I think about the moments, the small little moments in the differences of a first period breakaway save on one side that the other side doesn't get. And then you look at the end of the series and you're like, this team played from behind the entire series. They chased the game the entire series. Like, that's when other things become more glaring. When you have the guy that shuts those things down and keeps you from playing uphill, it's more, there's more of an effect throughout your lineup and throughout your players and, all of that. And that is the angle that I am coming from. I am trying to put myself in the shoes of the players sitting there watching this unfold night in and night out. And you're saying the right things to the media, okay? And, you're talking about these things. But, Tyler, when you don't know who your starter is for Game 6 and Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, like, to me, you've already lost. Or Game 5 and Game 6, excuse me. I feel like you've already lost in that regard. And, like, there are other things that they're going to sort out. You hate seeing a guy making $4 million as a healthy scratch in Game 6. Like, there's other areas, no doubt. But I will die on this hill that they need to shore up that position with somebody who is not Jekyll and Hyde. Okay, that's where I'm at with it.
I wanted to add too, just quickly, like, I feel like Sergei Bobrovsky 8 years ago, we talked about him being inconsistent.
8 years ago, Johnny, 4 years ago, exactly. He was the worst contract in hockey. Even that first year they went to the Cup final, if Florida wanted to move him that summer, there weren't enough first-round picks in the world to attach to him for someone to take. Like,
can I just throw one thing in there about him? Because you're definitely not wrong about his inconsistency. He did win a Vezina in 12, 13, and 16 and 17. So it's not like this guy, like,
Hellebuyck won Vezina too. Is he consistent?
Say that again. Sorry.
Hellebuck's won Vezinas too. Is he consistent?
Not in the playoffs. He's
Well,
consistent as
isn't
all
that what
hell during
matters?
the regular season.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
you rather the guy who's consistent in the playoffs? Like, that's kind of what we're talking about.
No doubt. So
again, like Colby, I actually want to fire back too, just because if you look at what the Oilers did in the 3 rounds to get to the Cup final, like they breezed through the Western Conference, and we all thought the Western Conference was going to be some crazy dogfight, which, I'm not going to say like they, obviously made it look easy. Like they won a lot of big close games, like the Vegas series, it was a more competitive series than what 5 games might look like. But again, like if I'm Edmonton, you're thinking about the Western Conference next year, and you're probably a favorite again to go and get back there.
And like that's again where like Colby and I are aligned and we're not aligned, because like I'm sitting here saying I think Stuart Skinner has that level, and when he gets to that level, the Oilers breezed through 2 legitimate Stanley Cup contenders. If they consistently got not even that level that Skinner was at for rounds 2 and 3, if they got close to that consistently, then yeah, they probably have a Stanley Cup in one of the last 2 seasons. The last thing I'll say, Colby, because you talked about how you forget those turnovers because your goalie makes a big save, and it's like they never happened. Stuart Skinner also made a lot of really, really big saves in that Game 5 loss, like the pad save in the first period when there was a slot.
Yeah.
The Panthers had 31 scoring chances and 14 high danger looks, and I think 9 of them came from inside the slot. The flip side of that point you made is, as soon as Stuart Skinner, and this applies for Evan Bouchard as well, as soon as they make that one mistake, you also then forget about the last 4 or 5 big saves that they made, which again is like not a justification or whatever, but like
Can I give you
like dog shit.
Can I give you Devin Dubnik's line from yesterday? Devin Dubnik's line was, our job as a goaltender is to erase the player's mistakes.
Yeah.
And like, that's true. That's literally because hockey is a game of mistakes. Hockey is a game of mistakes, and you need your goaltender to erase them. And in the last 2 years, because Florida does make mistakes. Now, they were better at getting above the puck. And one of the reasons they were able to constantly be above the puck is because they played in front all series. Like when you're chasing the game, that's when holes open up, because that's where your players start going, okay, I got to make a play here. I got to go for the bigger look, the better read instead of the simple play. And that's when a team like Florida can jump on you. But we saw Edmonton do that to Vegas because they played ahead. And they weren't constantly chasing the game. So look, this is this is a personal philosophy of mine. I look at a team and I'm like, you build out, from the goal and the back end. Like that's the way I look at these things, because you're going to make mistakes. Bouchard, yes, I know. Like Butchie had a really funny tweet. He was like, Bouchard's turnovers are like divorces. The more they happen, the more everyone's bigger and costs you more money. Like I thought that was pretty funny, but they do happen. But again, 2 years in a row, in my opinion, and I know Skinner did play well when they came back down from 3, but I think about the 0-3 start in the Cup final for them last year. Like, you just need the guy that's going to make certain things go away if you want to win the final series. Like, and that is my point. And I just think they're not getting that, Johnny. Go ahead.
I got one, like last year though, going down 0-3, they get shut out in Game 1 and they score 1 goal in Game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think that was on Skinner either in those first 2 games. Like Edmonton should have won Game 1. Bob just played that much better. And that's credit again to Bob.
Yeah. Like you know what I mean?
And I don't think you blame Skinner. I just think Florida had the better goal. Each year, Florida just has the better team.
And like, again, to compare him to Bobrovsky and be like if Connor and he isn't, but like, let's walk through the hypothetical. If Connor McDavid were to outduel Alexander Barkov in a Cup final, would you sit there and be like, Barkov's just, that's not working? No, you'd sit there and be like, well, son of a bitch, that's the best centerman in the world, the best player in the world. Of course he's going to get his way. Like, going up against Sergei Bobrovsky is also a very, very tall order. And we saw, again, Stuart Skinner outdueled Jake Ottinger for a second straight season. He outdueled Aiden Hill in that series. Like, I don't know, man. Sometimes it's just the Oilers played like shit at a really bad time of the year again. And last year they fell asleep for 3 games. And this year they fell asleep for 2 games. And that sucks, but like that's what happened. That we just talked about this Florida team being Colby. You agreed with me saying they're one of the best Stanley Cup champions in the last 25 years. So if you agree with me on that, then you can also agree that like the Oilers just got to the Cup final against a really goddamn good team twice.
They did, but nobody has McDavid except the Oilers. You know what I mean? And like we talked about the depth of the Oilers team all playoffs, and like the depth went away. Right. You just didn't. You lose Hyman, which not enough people have talked about. Corey Perry filled that role for a while, and then it got dicey. And Evander Kane just became not only a non-factor in the finals, a negative factor in the finals. I mean, between the penalties, the antics. I mean, what he did at the end of the game with Matthew Tkachuk was embarrassing. And then he doesn't shake hands. Like, this is embarrassing. I mean, you know, that it seems like that guy wears out his welcome everywhere he goes. So he's probably done that in Edmonton. He gave some really good years and some good hockey. He's probably worn out his welcome there. We'll see. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, just on the Kane thing, here's where I'm very, very torn on what to do with him next season is what do we know about Evander Kane, right? He is selfish. He thinks about himself first, and he wants to make money.
But damn, he's great when he's good, isn't he?
So don't you kind of want a contract year of Evander Kane? As much as I do not want him to be an Oiler, and I agree with everything you just said,
it's a good
don't
point.
you kind of want to see what he's got in the tank in the contract year? Granted, 33-year-old power forward who's skating, his best skating days are behind him. Maybe you don't want to take a chance on that. But another thing too, just like I agree the depth wasn't good enough. When you look at Florida, it's like, good Lord, they put Anton Lundell and Brad Marchand on their third line. Like no one can keep up with that, right?
I know.
And that's where I'm like, the Oilers, like their depth was bad, but I'm not viewing this from the lens of like, oh, they just got to go sign a few more good $3-4 million players to put in that bottom six. Like, no, they're missing a true difference maker. And I think they know it. I think there's a reason why they went and pushed hard for Mikko Rantanen, had a contract extension on the table for Mikko Rantanen. Like, I think the Edmonton Oilers know that they are a difference-making forward away. Like, everyone looks at the Oilers as some crazy top-heavy team. How many forwards do they have that make more than $6 million? They have 2. Go look at the Florida Panthers. How many forwards do the Florida Panthers have that make north of $6 million? They had Barkov, Tkachuk, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Marchand, and Bennett. They have 6 forwards who, I mean, heading into next year, all 6 of those guys are going to make north of $7 million. Like, everyone talks about the Oilers. Oh, they need more depth. They need more depth. No, they need more difference makers. They have 2 forwards who can truly drive play and change the game. Florida has 6 of them.
Yeah,
I would argue that Nugent Hopkins can drive play.
But then he broke his hand, and it's a no conversation.
Obviously, he's not up to the same level as McDavid.
Speaking of hand, did you guys see the
Barkov
the slice through Barkov's hand in the palm of his hand? And for how effective he still was.
Wasn't that his top hand too?
Oh my God! Like,
I think it was his
I don't
right
know
hand,
how
right?
you even hold on to a stick in that regard. So I you know what, Tyler? Listen, I
have a question for Tyler.
Go ahead.
How you feeling, man? You okay?
Oh, terrible.
Like, I actually I'm genuinely asking because I feel like there's a lot more acceptance this time around for Oilers fans. Like, and again, like last year, such an emotional ride coming back from down 3-0, and it feels like there's no way they lose this game 7. But everything I've heard from Oilers fans so far this time around, it just seems like.
Wait, is somebody in our chat complaining about LTIR for Florida? Aren't the Edmonton Oilers being investigated right now about their use of LTIR with Evander Kane? I mean, Sean Connolly wrote, NHL media is like Florida depth wins them the cup, but LTIR is somehow never a factor. Sean, I think you're saying you're throwing shade at Florida, but if you Google it, the team that is now being investigated by the National Hockey League for illegal use of LTIR is the Edmonton Oilers. Just throwing that out there.
Kane missed the whole season.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and say throw it in the Google bar and check it out. But the reality is the rules are the rules. It's like they can fix them in the CBA if they want. Okay.
So then why are the Oilers being punished, but Florida isn't being
Well,
looked
they're
into at
not
all?
being punished. They're being looked into. They're being asked for more. Let's not pretend like the NHL is like picking on Edmonton. I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure Evander Kane shot his mouth off to somebody, and somebody probably whispered it to somebody else. And that's probably why this is being looked into here. But come on, we're not gonna like, okay, I'm not one of the people that jumps on this whole the refs favor this team because they want them to win or they're picking on that team or whatever. I don't go down that rabbit hole. Maybe you do, Tyler, but I don't.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a long list of shit the Oilers organization has had thrown at them by the league that doesn't seem totally fair, but we don't need to turn that into this conversation. I just think it's hilarious that after years of playing Vegas and after watching Florida do it back to back, like that Edmonton, the first time they've ever done it, Edmonton gets dinged for it or could get dinged for it, whatever. Back to your thing, Johnny.
Yeah.
Like part of the reason I'm maybe more disappointed in this one than last year is last year, I just remember being like, oh, they can get back. Like they proved that this year, this group they have is good enough to win the Stanley Cup. And like the depth wasn't good last year. It's like, okay, what if they fix the depth? And what if the goaltending's better? Like they're going to get back. And this year, like as much as the chat calls me a homer and I recognize I have a favorite team and it's the Edmonton Oilers.
You're allowed to be.
I'm also not like stupid enough to be like, they'll be back. Like making 3 Stanley Cup finals is
my worry.
It's an astronomically difficult thing to do. Like you're not
losing too.
You're not just gonna snap your fingers and get right back here next June and be like, here we go, let's win another one. Like it's very, very difficult. They have their work cut out for them. This roster needs to be picked apart significantly over the next 2 weeks and fixed. Like, I don't know, man. Like I talked about needing a difference maker. They probably only get back if they find a way to add a true difference maker, but they have no money and no assets. So how do you get a difference maker? Like the road ahead is going to be a very, very tough one. And can they just snap their finger? Can they get back? Like, yes, obviously they can. And it's a conversation that's, better to have when they clinch a playoff spot next year than right now. And when we know what the roster looks like, but like, it's just not that easy. And they've now missed on 2 really, really good chances to win a Stanley Cup and not be the franchise that screwed over the Connor McDavid era. And now you sit here and it's a math thing, because if getting to 3 straight is hard and, you go, okay, well, next year, maybe they don't get back. Well, okay, then you only have 8 more years of Connor McDavid. It gets more and more difficult, right?
Do you think he'll sign an 8-year deal?
Yes.
Look, I would bet anything that he resigns, by the way. I am not on this bandwagon of like he's upset and he's gonna leave. This guy seems to me like he's gonna dig his fucking heels in as deep as they need to go to win in the city that he's in. But I could see him potentially going a little bit shorter, Tyler, and going 4 years and giving himself flexibility after 4 years just in case. Like I don't know. I don't know him personally. So I may be completely off base with that. I'm just saying I could, even though it would create a media shitstorm that he probably doesn't want, but I could see that. I could, I don't think it's insane of me to say, and I do say some insane things. I know that.
So here's the thing, like Connor McDavid, I don't think at any point wants to give off, like, who knows what he's thinking, but like, he does not at any point want to give off the idea that he doesn't love Edmonton. Like, that's just not what he wants his legacy to be, right? He's not going to do the Austin Matthews. He's not going to be worried about maximizing his earnings because he's already made more than enough money, and off the ice, he makes a ton of money. If Connor McDavid signs an 8-year deal in Edmonton and by year 4, he goes, well, this isn't working. He goes to the Oilers and says, trade me here. And the Oilers have to go, okay, we're trading you here, right? Like he, throughout the course of that 8-year deal, as much as I don't want to say that because I know it's what the Eastern media is going to do to shit on Edmonton when McDavid does commit to being an Oiler for his entire career. Like there is always that option. Like the idea that McDavid signs an 8-year deal and then in year 4 just goes like, we still suck. Get me out of here. Then like, yeah, they would trade him and they would have to, but like, it's not going to get to that point. And I'm kind of sick of, again, everyone out east being like, oh, he would love to play in New York. It's a big city. Like, no, he loves Edmonton.
Yeah,
Is that fucking crazy to wrap your head around?
I also think that people want to come play in Edmonton now. I think that stigma that has existed, I think that stigma has been lifted, Tyler. Think of all those guys that jumped on board, and I think it's going to continue, right? Like, I think I think that if Stan Bowman can clear up some cap space, and whether it's Evander Kane, whether it's wherever it is, like, I don't think you're going to see players going, no, I won't waive to go to Edmonton. Like, everybody will still want to come play with McDavid and Draisaitl. I think a lot of players would be happy to come play for Knobloch. And the other thing too is, now that you have that, the Edmonton Oilers have some of the best facilities in the National Hockey League, right? You're playing in Canada. You're treated extremely well in first class by the owner of the Edmonton Oilers. Like, I believe that the stigma of I don't want to go there, I don't think it's there anymore. I really don't. Listen, you're always going to get the guys that are from the eastern part of the U.S. or parts there where they're like, it's nicer to be closer to home, because you have young kids, you want family help, whatever. But like Arvidsson and some of these other guys, like Skinner, like they all raised their hand and said, I want to go to Edmonton. So I think the Band-Aid has been pulled off in a way with that. And so, look, I think that I'll be really interested. Stan Bowman is not a sit on your hands type of guy. Sometimes that gets him into trouble, and you've seen that, right? And I joked, I think I said to you yesterday, he's going to bring Fleury out of retirement, in goal. But I'm monitoring the Edmonton Oilers extremely closely to see where Stan Bowman goes here. It's not a guy that's going to sit there and say, we need to keep our draft picks, we need to think about the future. It's not that type of guy. He's not going to do that.
And they also don't have any draft picks. So there's also that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's true. Nothing in the first two. Well, they have 1 third-round pick this year, but then they don't pick again until the I'm looking at it right now. Like, it's just all blurred out. Hey, so that's trying to win, man. I respect that. I do respect that.
Tyler, as far as like making this team better and try to understand where I'm coming from here, I don't want this to sound like a really stupid question, which it very well could come off as.
Yes.
What as tends to happen sometimes to me. Would it possibly have benefited this team more had they just gone out in the first round against LA?
No.
You look at the team and say, like, a lot needs to change if we lost in the first round versus like getting there and thinking you're close, but maybe we're not being good enough.
But we're still saying that a lot needs to change right now, right? Like, it's not like they made it to this point and Stan Bowman's going to sit here and be like, perfect, let's run it back. Like, no, Victor Arvidsson's getting traded. Evander Kane is probably getting traded. They're going to get a new goalie. Like, all of these things. Like, no, going on another run, like, you don't trade that for anything. You throw up another Western Conference champions banner. You say, hey, we got real close once again. And I mean, even in the room, right? Just having that group knowing that, again, if they play well, they can go for another Stanley Cup final next year. Like, no, you don't trade that for anything. And again, that final exposed that while they're getting right there.
Is that a fair question to ask though?
Yeah, because like, it's like asking, would you rather have just missed the playoffs than lose in the first round? Like, no, you'd rather make the playoffs every time. And like, you can't think like that. You can't
win if you're not in the game, buddy. You got to get in the game. You got to get in the series.
I'm saying, like, when you look at the team and critique it and the changes that need to be made, there's always drastic changes after a team loses in the first. Like, when you lose in the first round,
Johnny,
like, that's as big of a disappointment as you can have, I think.
Unless
you're like a team like Montreal who gets there.
You're not getting me to bite on this. This is
I wasn't asking you.
Okay.
Did I direct the question at you? No.
Okay. Go ahead, Tyler.
So
he doesn't want me to answer
okay?
because he knows I'm going to put my fist down on his stupidity.
I understand what you're saying, where like, would a first round exit have like woken up Stan Bowman? But like,
exactly.
Stan Bowman is heading into his first offseason as this team's GM. He's going to be itching to put his stamp on this thing regardless, even if it went to 7, even if they won the cup.
But I said, like, I think it benefited the New York Islanders to miss the playoffs more than it would have to make the first round, because they actually went out and changed their GM. They made changes. Like, sometimes
they won the lottery.
They got lucky with that. But sometimes you need that, like, wake up.
Yeah. And again, like, being mushy middle or bottom 5 in the league, like, yeah, I agree with you in that sense. Like, there are teams who definitely need to bottom out and tank. The Oilers aren't in that spot. So yeah, go on a run to the Stanley Cup final. There's no downside to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, besides the feeling of pain that you have this morning.
Yeah. But
yeah, that's separate. But I just, sometimes I think, like, the team, it's good. And then it's hard for a GM to decide like this team isn't good enough and then to break things up. I think that's like one of the hardest things a GM has to go through.
So the difference again, Johnny, would just be that none of these guys are Bowman guys. Arvidsson's not a Bowman guy. Henrique, Kane, he didn't sign any of them. He has no loyalty. Every single move he makes involving those guys is a get out of jail free card that he just gets to throw down. So I think he'll have no issue ripping this roster apart.
Yep.
All right, Tyler, last question. We're going to take it from the chat from Patrick Kerrigan. And he said, please ask Tyler if there's any scenario in which the Oil would consider moving Bouchard and avoid 80 to 100 million that he's going to cost.
No, because when you have, what did I just talk about? Elite players, difference makers. Don't trade the other one. Like you have two of them. Evan Bouchard is the third. Don't trade the other one. Are you going to sit there and be like, oh, giving Evan Bouchard $10 million a year, which like he's not going to get $100 million over 8 years. That's insane. Giving Evan Bouchard $10 million a year, like, does that scare you? No, it doesn't, because halfway through that deal, when Evan Bouchard's going to be 29 years old, how many defensemen in the league are going to be making north of $10 million? A lot of them. Yeah. And is he a top? Is he a top 5 defenseman in the NHL? No. Is he a top 10 defenseman in the NHL? Yeah, I'll still say no.
Offensively, he is.
Yeah. And like the turnovers and shit, people love to just point him out. Like Matthias Ekholm flipped a fluttering.
I don't give any blame on Bouchard. Zero blame on Bouchard on that play.
Evan Bouchard through 3 rounds was, if you would have had to cast votes for who was the MVP of the Oilers through 3 rounds, Evan Bouchard is higher on that list than probably Connor McDavid, if we're being totally honest. He was unbelievable through 3 rounds of the playoffs. There was no Matthias Ekholm. He was playing 25 minutes a night, and on the fly, he learned how to penalty kill. He never penalty killed in his NHL career before. Like, the hate on Bouchard is just from people who don't know what the fuck they're watching.
You've got to be working on the banking system, which is something David Quinn explained to me when I was 18 years old. You put certain amount in the bank account so you can take some out every now and again, and you got to make sure you keep that equity green. The minute you go to the red, you're in trouble. Tyler, again, we appreciate you coming on with us. This is probably the last time we're going to have you this season, and I just wanted to let you know that you get up super early to be with us all the time. I know you jump from show to show. You get off here, you go to the rundown, you go to this show, you go to that show, but you literally never say no to us no matter what. And so I do want to say thank you to you for your contributions to helping our show grow. And I truly, truly mean that. You are undoubtedly one of our most consistent and loyal guests that help us on this show. So we do appreciate you, buddy.
I echo that as well, Tyler, and it's been a lot of fun, especially this year, getting to hang out with you in person too, and have some good times, good laughs. Tyler and I are very similar, which people might not.
No, you're not.
We are. We actually are. We have a lot of.
Don't do that to Tyler. That's messed up.
We have a lot of the same interests.
I will say, like, watching the jump your guys' show take, like I saw a similar jump where, like, I remember when I started ONE and we'd be so excited if there were 100 people watching it at a time, like live. And then now, whenever we do a live broadcast, we have thousands watching, and it's like the coolest thing ever. And the same thing with you guys. I remember jumping on with you guys in the early days, and there's 40 people watching live on YouTube. And now in the playoffs, you guys are popping off 600, 700, 800 live at any given point on YouTube. It's the coolest jump to watch your show kind of do that. So being along for the ride's a lot of fun. I'm happy to be a little part of it.
You're bigger than a little part of it, Tyler. So we love you. Have a good day, man. And we'll keep in touch in the off season. Enjoy your rollerblades. Okay.
Oh, I be blading, boy.
All right.
Thanks, Tyler. Awesome stuff. He's the best.
Agreed.
And
yes, New York Marine. You were. Neil was there. New York Marine was there. I think Sharma was there. Listen. Our day ones are
Jeremiah
still here.
Definitely was there.
Oh, of course.
Jeremiah was waiting in the chat before our first show.
Olivia was a day one. I think Jenna was kind of a day one.
Ariel has come and gone.
Ariel has come and gone. Although I feel like she's here a lot. She's just not as active in the chat.
Well, the Islanders are out.
Jason T. I know that name. J Rock's been here from the beginning. I think Jay Miller's been here. Like, our day ones have hung with us. They've been here through our yelling and screaming. Listen, Howard Stern has the whack pack, and I don't think that's what our group is, but they matter. Just like
we need like a nickname for our, like, I'm jealous.
Whack pack on Howard Stern, like, make the show. They do make Howard Stern show. And like I said, our group is definitely not the whack pack, but they are a vital point of our show. There's no doubt about it, Johnny.
Somebody in the chat come up with a nickname for you guys. Cupheads is like it's stealing from
too
Cheetos.
easy. Yeah, we need something we need something super creative. All right, let's hit the quick news around the league, Johnny, and then we'll make our way through here. So where do you want to start?
Before that, I just want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Proraso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Proraso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Proraso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. And I'll ask you the first question. Eric Hall gets traded to the Predators yesterday. What are they doing? What is Nashville's plan?
I really don't
does anyone
know.
have an answer to that?
I don't have an opinion. I don't, I don't have an opinion. So
we expect them to be as bad this coming season as they were last year. Are we calling it last year now? I guess this year. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no opinions about the Nashville Predators whatsoever. I
just want to look at their roster like right now.
Barry Trotz, the GM, is so different than Barry Trotz, the coach. Like, could you imagine a GM assembling that type of team for Barry Trotz, the coach? Like, for his style?
Yeah.
I guess a really good coach would coach differently, but I don't know. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, so I don't even want to spend time on it. Like, it's like, it's like absurd. It's like absurd to me. By the way, I do like Eric Hall, by the way. I do like him. I like him as a player.
He had a bad year last year.
I know he had a bad year, but I like him as a player. I think he's found a good he's found a good role in the NHL. And I think when he plays to his identity, he can be effective.
He was great against the Rangers, honestly, in that first round 2 years ago in 2023. One of the better players that stood out in that series. But I also I do want to address some things from yesterday, like seeing a lot of stuff from the Panthers celebration. I don't know if you saw that video of Barkov going to his neighbor's house at 5 a.m. with the cup. I think it was Reinhart with him. Did you see that video?
Yeah.
That was like the fucking coolest thing I've ever seen. Imagine just like hearing your doorbell ring at 5 a.m. And I think the person who posted it was like a younger kid. The mom, I think, answers the door or like speaks through the Ring microphone. But like, just I don't know. That was so cool. Like Barkov is.
Well, I'm sure they already have a relationship with the neighbors.
No, they do. They do.
You know how Florida is. Everybody lives in a development. There's usually like security guard and all that stuff. So I'm sure there's like a cool relationship between all these people. I saw the one video of all the hats everybody threw on Reinhardt's front yard,
which he probably is pissed about that, by the way, because when the Ranger fans did that to Kreider, like he was not happy that his home was put on social media.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate one way or the other, but I do think that this
is unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't. It's cool.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's so cool.
It's cool. Like I said, I guess we need more of a backstory to know, did they know these people? I'm sure they knew them. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, it is cool. The kid, I think,
course,
commented on Twitter because it was Zito talked about it on Pat McAfee. So that's like where the whole thing came from. And the kid was like, I have the video on my Ring camera. So then he tweeted it. But also like that's something I love too, honestly, about the Stanley Cup. Like that's what separates it from every other trophy. Seeing how teams like bring it out into their communities, right? I think the Capitals were the first ones to really do that, like to just party with it in the streets of DC.
That's I mean, in 11, the guys had the cup out partying in and around Faneuil Hall, in and around the city, like for days.
During the daytime, were they walking
for days? Oh,
really?
Marshy and Tyler Seguin, like for days, were ripping that thing around Boston. So maybe it's the difference now is the social media coverage of it. But that's, I mean, I've heard stories from the cup guys of shit, of pool parties, of day parties, of illicit substances being done off
but
of
I'm not
it.
saying parties. I'm saying just like literally like
but public parties out and about, it's also, Florida is an outdoor community, right? Like you're in it.
Well, this time of year, everyone.
I get it, but Florida, is a year-round outdoor community, right? So, anyways, all right, what else? What did you think of the Ryan Donato deal with the Blackhawks?
One more thing that I just wanted to mention yesterday that I forgot. Did you know Barkov is the first European player to captain 2 Stanley Cup champions?
I did, yeah.
I did not, like, I know they said that on the broadcast the other night, but, like, I think that's pretty crazy too.
Yeah,
That
well,
with how many good European players we've seen that have been captains. I guess, like, I thought Lidstrom, but Lidstrom probably was only the captain for one of them.
he was the assistant because Yzerman, you know what I mean? And like all those guys, right? So for a while there was not a lot of European captains who had even won. There was a couple. It was a pretty small number. You know, so look, there's been a huge shift, Johnny, and it took a long time to even get the best Europeans to come and play. And then slowly but surely they came and play. And then there was a stigma about how they would rather win world championships than win the Stanley Cup. So like this has been an evolution of sort of the players. Obviously now even now, like all the best Russian kids come. That didn't even used to be the case, right? So anyways, what did you think of the Donato signing 4 times 4 in Chicago?
I thought it was a great deal for the Blackhawks. I mean, Donato took a huge jump this year. I don't think he was more than like a 30-point player in his career before he got to Chicago. He put up 31 and 31 this year playing with Bouchard. Like I think also wasn't Bouchard very vocal about like how much he loves playing with Donato?
But his career high was 16 goals before that, and he's played 483 games. He is 29 years old, right? So chances are 31 is you're probably looking at a guy who in a really good year gets you 22 to 25 maybe.
Yeah, I'm not going to say he's a 30 goal scorer.
Exactly. So
but that's why you're making $4 million. Like that's, I don't think it's
$4 million in the new cap era is like a $3 million, maybe even a little less.
He probably got underpaid.
So, well, he took years though. A guy like him is probably looking at that going, he played for Boston, Minnesota, San Jose, Seattle, Chicago. 1, 2. He's not been in the league that long to have that many teams under his belt. So I think for him, getting that job security is nice.
I think it's a great deal for Chicago.
I did. I thought it was a good deal for Chicago. By the way, I asked Kyle Davidson to come on the show on Monday. He said that, amateur meetings start Monday, and he's going to let me know. My guess is we probably won't get him next week. I'm going to try, but that is somebody that I was hoping to target for early next week just to see where
I'm working on Hagens for Monday.
Got it. So. The Bonino news, he retired. He's going to join Dan Muse's staff. Former teammate of mine. I'll reach out to Nick and see, because I'd love to get some clarity on what he's going to do. Is he going to be on the bench? Is he going to be upstairs? Where is he going to be working? He's joining the coaching staff. He could be doing consulting. We don't really know exactly where his role is going to be. I know I saw he's on a little golf trip in Nova Scotia right now, so I figured I'll let him get through that before I reach out to him. And then the other news was the Sabian signed Fabian Zetterlund 3 times 4 and a quarter.
Sabian signed Fabian Zetterlund.
Didn't I say the Sens?
The Sabians.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Then signed Fabian Zetterlund.
Honestly, that could be like a new thing. We'll just call them the Sabians from now on.
The Sabians.
Sabians.
So that was kind of the new. Listen, it sounds like things are kind of heating up. I do think we're going to see some trades next week. I do think that's going to be pretty interesting just to see what happens next week. And we're going to go back to our 4-day schedule next week, Johnny.
We're doing our 4-day schedule now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We said we were not doing a show this Friday. Next week will be Monday through Thursday. We'll do a live show on the 30th. 31st will be the free agency frenzy. And then the 1st will be that. There is no 31st this month. And then we will do a live show the 2nd of July. And then that will be it for our live shows. And then we will be releasing a new episode. We'll take a week off. And then we will do a new episode every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Did we say? We'll have something uploaded 9 a.m. We might get to a live episode or two. We'll let you guys know. So someone in the chat's asking if I have any Patrick Kane stories. I mean, listen, I saw the whole glove thing yesterday. Everybody's like, holy shit.
He new gloves every game.
I mean, I would watch
love
when I
new
was
gloves.
between the benches in Chicago, like they would be constantly bringing him new gloves to the bench, and he would keep new gloves under the actual bench on the bench. Like he'd be constantly switching around. The one thing I always tell people about Kaner was that he was an exceptional athlete, not just hockey. I remember in high school, we used to play a little 2-on-2, 3-on-3 basketball in our neighborhood, because him and I lived in the same neighborhood in Ann Arbor. And he was like one of the best basketball players, even smaller than everybody else. But the kid was just an unbelievable athlete. So it's usually how it goes for the best players. They were really good at other sports as well, Johnny. So
we also had a pretty good question in our chat here. Who said it? I'm trying to LJ. Donato, 31 goals, 31 assists, Nyes, 29 goals, 29 assists, apples and oranges, or comparable for Nyes contract. So the difference between those two guys is that Matthew Nyes is 22 years old and Ryan Donato is 29. So for Donato, that's kind of like, maybe a ceiling for him, where Nyes, he's just now getting started and there is a ton more upside. So I do not think those contracts are going to be even close to what Donato got.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Nyes has played 161 games and he's had 94 points.
Yeah, it's a fair question, LJ. I didn't mean to it's a good question, right? Like the number's the same. It's just when you look at the ages and the stats they've put up, the upside for Nyes is way higher than what Donato is right now, currently, and will be.
Yeah, and I also think Nyes, again, is a power forward. You're not just looking at, goals and assists. Like this is a guy who does a lot of other things, not to take away from Ryan Donato, but Ryan Donato, he's been a journeyman and a good one. But no, they're not even like, I don't even think you're close. I think Nyes' deal is going to be massive in that regard. So, all right, Johnny, what do we have for Bet365?
I think we're looking at the draft, I believe.
Well, you're the Bet365 guy, so it'd be good if you knew.
Get ready for an in-depth look at the future of the game. The Sheet Draft Special is going live on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel on Friday, June 27th at 7 p.m. EST, hosted by Jeff Merrick. We're bringing you real-time coverage of the 2025 draft, diving into every pick as it happens, from top prospects to surprise steals, team strategies, to player potential. We're breaking down the entire night with expert analysis and insider insight. Don't miss the Sheet Draft Special live June 27th at 7 p.m. EST on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Subscribe now so you don't miss a moment. Brought to you by the Nation Network. We don't really have any lines to look at right now for Bet316. The only thing that we were going to discuss is the next team Mitch Marner plays for. Like that's what we're going to do for today's bet. So if you look at the lines, like Vegas is the favorite right now at plus 200, Carolina plus 450, Pittsburgh for some reason at plus 600, probably because Kyle Dubas. I think he ends up in Anaheim. That's my pick for him, which I believe is 850. That writing is so small. I don't have my glasses on. But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Martin to the Ducks. What are you saying, Kobe?
I certainly don't agree with the whole Carolina thing. I can't see a world where he's the fit for the way that they play. I mean, how many times has Eric Tulsky gone on the sheet and talked about they're looking for the right type of player for their system? Like they're not just out there throwing, darts against a board with their eyes closed. I think Anaheim makes a lot of sense. They got a lot of cap space. They're looking to get that team back on and into the playoffs. Mitch Marner gets you to the playoffs. I mean, he ain't going to help you win in the playoffs, but he will get you to the playoffs. And I think if Anaheim goes out and shows, here's our plan and here's where we think we're going, and here are these Carlson, Gauthier, like there's a bunch of exciting young players in and around Anaheim's organization. And again, I still wouldn't rule out Jonathan Taves ending up there, even though I know that maybe that's not the top of the wish list, but the whole Joel Quenneville thing could be strong. Patrick Kane is on the open market right now. I hear that he'd like to probably go back to Detroit. Does Kane really want to go to an unknown situation out in California? Probably not, but I like Anaheim for Marner as well. And we'll see what happens.
Do you think there's any chance he ends up in Buffalo?
Who, Marner?
Yeah.
No.
I don't think so either.
I don't know why an established player like that can get paid anywhere else is going to Buffalo.
One of my friends, Dwayne. Keep going.
Does anybody have confidence in Kevin Adams as a general manager? Anybody? Maybe outside of maybe the owner? Maybe. I mean, I know they brought in the guy who they're going to give the job to once they fire him in Yarmo Kekalainen. I mean, they already got him there, but I don't know. Like, I would be strong.
No, J-Rock, I know you were kidding, but like there are people like my friend Dwayne, big Sabres fan, who actually is convinced like Marner's going to sign with the Sabres.
Okay. I don't see it, but we shall see.
All right. That's all I've got. Any closing remarks for you for the week?
I'd like to see our subscriber count get another 100 and something subscribers, because I'd love to see us get to 30,000 by the end of next week. I mean, the end of next week and the end of, I guess we'll say by July 2nd. And so, you know, I don't think, we haven't reached the expiration date, even though I said the end of the playoffs, but we are still going to go live here for the next week or two. So let's just make sure we get that subscriber count to that 30,000 number. Other than that, Johnny, like, subscribe, comment, pay your goaltenders, hug your goaltenders, cherish your goaltenders. And other than that, enjoy your long weekend. There will not be a morning cup of hockey tomorrow.
Sorry, J-Rock.
We apologize. Johnny, lots of
the
time.
Cohens have to get to the beach.
The Cohens are already at the beach. The only Cohen, Oliver and I are the only ones not down the shore right now. So, and I think Monday I'll probably stick around because it's supposed to be really nice, and I'll probably do it from the shore. I just got to figure out a better setup down there. So, anyways, look, we hope everybody. We hope everybody has a great weekend, long weekend. Hopefully you have nice weather where you are. We do have nice weather down here.
Gorgeous out today.
Vic said the weather in Toronto sucks, which is a shame. But we have some nice weather down here on the East Coast. We hope everybody has nice weather regardless of where you guys are. And yes, D. White, we are sorry, but the Oilers cost you a Friday show. This is blame it on the Edmonton Oilers, because otherwise we would be getting ready for Game 7, which we are not. We hope everybody has a great weekend. Like, subscribe, comment, and download. The next benchmark for our show is audio downloads. We got to get those audio downloads up. We got to get above that 50,000 downloads number. And that is our next target. So we need your help with that in getting those downloads buzzing. Even if you catch half the show on YouTube, catch the other half on Spotify or Apple Podcast, right? Johnny, you got anything you want to add? You look like you do.
I just got an email. I might have to hop off early on Monday's show. I have an event at 10 a.m.
Sounds like a personal problem.
It is a personal problem.
So, all right, everybody, enjoy your day. We'll see everybody in couple of days on Monday morning, 9 a.m. Have a good one.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Saravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.